We're going to all rise and do the pledge. Kathleen, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Blanco,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Dickerson,
Here.
Commissioner Mohajer,
Here.
Chair Seifert.
Here. Let me just check one thing real quick. Okay. And do we need to approve the Planning Commission minutes for July 19th. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any, no nays, but abstentions? I'm going to, I believe I was absent for that meeting. Commissioner Mohajer?
I was absent as well.
Okay, so we'll abstain. Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to have the public comment period, and it's not to exceed a total of 15 minutes. Each member of the audience may address the commission on any subject within the commission's business. Each member of the audience and each subject is limited to discussion of 3 minutes or is otherwise directed as commission chair. I don't see any request to speak, correct?
Yeah, and Chair Seifert, I just want to make a quick announcement regarding those who are on Zoom.
Okay.
So if you're on Zoom and you wish to comment on an agenda item, please use the raised hand icon on the Zoom platform. Once you are recognized, you will then be unmuted and allowed to comment on the business at hand in the order received. And the maximum comment time is 3 minutes or is otherwise directed by the chair. I'll take a look and see if we have any hands raised on Zoom. So there's no request to speak on Zoom.
Thank you very much. That'll move us right into the public hearings. The first hearing is number 5A, Alvin Newton Apartments, downtown permit at the southeast corner of Broadway and Main Street. At this time, we're going to go back to staff. Dana.
Thank you, Commissioner Seifert, or Chair Seifert and Commissioners. I'd like to just note that staff is requesting that this item be continued to the September 6th Planning Commission hearing. Yesterday, on October 15th, we received a lengthy letter from an attorney on behalf of the Southwest Mountain States Regional Council of Carpenters. And so staff just needs time to go through that letter and provide a formal response for when the item returns. So that is our request is September 6th.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I believe we have to open this up for public comment. Has any of the commissioners ex parte on this particular item? Okay. We'll open it up for public comment. I do have a speaker slip, and it is for 5A. Lori Tamura.
Good evening, Lori Tamura, here tonight to speak in regards to the actions of the Carpenters Union. This is a trend to use CEQA against development projects, and it's just unfortunate that a project that has done so much to address what the city has been looking for the downtown specific plan is being held up by this method of opposition using California Environmental Quality Act as the weapon. And hopefully this trend will stop, but in the meantime, another costly extension of this project is moving forward, and it's just unfortunate that this is happening to good projects that have been planned for many years. The environmental document was approved over 4 years ago, so there's really no basis for this continuance and question that has been raised by this letter, and we would love to see it stop. Don't know if it will, but this method is not productive to good planning and good projects in the city of Santa Maria. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. We appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay, I see none. We're going to close the public hearing on that, and we need to vote on the continuation to the...
Chair, I have a comment I'd like to make
Okay.
to what Lori said. I agree with Lori on this. We've had this happen to us 2 or 3 other times in the past, and I'm not sure if there is some method by which we can, when it's happened in the past, there was some discussion about putting a time limit several days in advance of the meetings for when you can actually submit things, which would give staff time to address those things. And I think that we ought to, at some point, readdress that, because if this is going to become a common, something common to this, I would hate to see good projects, bad projects, any projects delayed by this methodology, which I think is odious at best. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dickerson. Heather, is there some way to implement that?
Yes, we researched that last time, and based on our research under CEQA and some other due process provisions of state law, we did not feel that that would be a good idea. We feel it's very important to have a strong record when we review projects, and to have a letter that raises, whether they're valid or not, raises numerous concerns about our environmental review. We want a response in the record that refutes each of those allegations. So we would like the time to put together a letter refuting those allegations. And I agree with everybody's frustration. Ms. Tamura and Commissioner Dickerson are right. It's a CEQA, which was meant to protect the environment, is being used to achieve other means many times, but that's the world we live in right now, and we believe that it's important to support our record.
Commissioner Dickerson?
Yeah, so I guess I have a couple of questions. The first is, right now there is a timeline, which I assume is relatively arbitrary, of, what is it, noon today? Noon the day of? To be able to submit something for the evening, for the evening's hearing? I forget what the time frame was.
Right now, we
2
actually
o'clock?
don't have a specific cutoff time for when you can submit a public comment.
So, okay, then I guess the next question I have is this, I mean, if we're going to try to address every single one of these letters that comes in, could there be a tactic used where they just keep doing it? They just keep doing it and just throwing this thing further and further out, and continuation after continuation, because we want to address what it is they've said.
Yeah, there's lots of games that can be played, but we try and if something that came in truly last minute and we thought had no merit, or we could quickly assemble and analyze it and determine that we felt it lacked merit or wasn't worth holding up the project, or could be resolved perhaps between the next meeting if it's something that goes to council, then we're willing to look at some strategies like that. But in this instance, I know the developer may not feel this, but we're relatively early in the due process, your review, council review portion, and I think a delay of 2 weeks is well worth the
Yeah, I was just
effort.
concerned about the following 2 weeks and the following.
Well, if we get one, the day before the next meeting, presumably we'd be able to maybe respond to it without having another delay, because
Got
we
it.
will have already reviewed and gone over things.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. So there is no method to put a limit as, you have to be a day before or a week before?
I would not recommend that, because under CEQA, there's specific things in CEQA that would go into the record. So even though we could say we won't have time to respond to it, that's fine. You wouldn't have to respond to it, but it would still be in that record. And then if a writ was filed challenging the decision, it would be in the court's record, and we would have no response explaining why it was erroneous.
Thank you.
And Chair Seifert, we do have someone with their hand raised on Zoom to give a comment.
I did close the public comment period, I believe, already. Is that true?
I think so, but I think we actually didn't check Zoom for this particular item, and I think that was my, I think I missed that.
Okay,
So I'm sorry about that.
let's hear what they have to
It's actually
say.
the applicant.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. David Alford from the Vernon Group. Hope you're well. We were hoping to, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Fantastic. We were definitely hoping to see you guys there in person this evening. So unfortunately, as you know, the comment letter caused the delay. And as the applicant, we are very confident in staff to take the 2 weeks to prepare their response. You know, typically we don't use CEQA as a negotiating tactic, but like the city attorney mentioned, it's, you know, the world we live in now. We'll be patient. We're looking forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks in person. And just wanted to mention that, you know, a lot of the people we had been working with the stakeholders were willing to show up this evening. So unfortunately, they were a little frazzled with not being able to show up and changing their schedule. But we'll make do. And also, we, you know, we're excited to come before you guys. And we have any questions, or you have any questions for us, I'm here to answer them.
Do we have any questions? We don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. So I believe at this time we're looking for a motion.
I move that we continue this, this agenda item to, what was it, September 6th? Is
Yes.
that right? Yep.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What does that do, Heather, or do we need a roll call? Thank you very much. The motion passes. We will see this on September 6th. Moving on to number 5B, Betaravia Chevron Plan Development Permit and Conditional Use Permit at the northeast corner of Betaravia Road and Walker Avenue. Staff, please.
Thank you, Chair Seifert, members of the commission, members of the public. Oh, yes.
Commissioner Mohajer?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I actually do have to recuse. I have a conflict. And I do also want to know, I do recall being briefed on the previous item agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that sufficient, Heather?
Okay, thank you.
Technically, under the Political Reform Act, you don't have to tell us exactly what your conflict is, but it's best to put on the record the nature. Whether, you know, you live within 500 feet, you have a business relation, it's best to briefly describe your conflict.
It would be, I guess, a financial conflict with the firm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll wait till you leave the chambers. Okay, at this time, we're going to proceed. Do we have any ex parte on this item? Seeing none, staff, can we have a presentation? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the commission, my name is Carol Zuzian-Henny, presenting the plan development permit for Betaravia Plaza Chevron. This is a plan development permit and conditional use permit to construct a 10-pump fueling station with accompanying car wash, a convenience store with second floor office and storage area, a drive-through restaurant, and a 9-space electric charging facility. So the plan development permit is being processed for the actual construction. This is in the plan development overlay. And the conditional use permit is for the drive-through and service station uses. The project site is located on West Betaravia Road at the northeast corner of Betaravia Road and the newly constructed Walker Avenue. This is Lot 5 of Betaravia Plaza, Tract 6002. The lot is surrounded on the north and the west with vacant land zoned commercial and residential. And to the east is the Santa Maria Valley Railroad and a storage yard beyond. To the south are industrial uses. So just as a little bit of background and project history, the 57-acre Betaravia Plaza project site was annexed in 1982 and was originally intended for industrial uses. Areas to the north were annexed and planned for residential and a school, and now they're now all built out north of Carmen. The property was rezoned in 2016 to allow for future commercial, office, and apartments, and open space uses. A conceptual plan development permit for this project was also approved in 2016, and the tract map in 2018. The entire site has been graded, and the roads and infrastructure are under construction. I believe that landscaping has been installed as of recently. So in 2022, last year, the lot directly to the north was rezoned to R3. It was previously C2 for commercial. It was approved by City Council in December. This is the approved site plan directly to the north of the project. So the 4 trees on the bottom, located right here, that is the property boundary. And the project under review tonight before your commission is just to the south of these 4 trees. The building permits for the apartments are currently under review by the city. So these are some recent site photos. On the top is looking north towards Walker Avenue. The sidewalk you can see in this photo is installed, as well as light posts. And then further along Betteravia Road, just past there is the railroad. And looking on the bottom, looking east down Betteravia Road, there is a median in the center of Betteravia Road, which would preclude left turns in and out of the project, or in and out of Walker Avenue specifically. And further down again is the railroad. So this is looking in the other direction at the railroad, looking west on Betteravia Road. So the railroad is going off to the right here. The multi-purpose pedestrian bike trail is installed. The concrete is in. And then looking on the bottom screen, this is just, again, with the railroad crossing, and then off going north is that pedestrian and multi-purpose trail. So the project itself, I'll just walk through the different elements. There's quite a few uses going on here. So this is a 10-pump fuel station with multi-product dispensers. The underground fuel tanks are located right over here. It's faintly outlined, but you can see it more clearly in some of the other exhibits. There's a convenience store. So the fuel canopy is shown in purple. The convenience store with office uses, it's 6,100 square feet, and the second floor is 1,700 square feet. That is located on the south of the building. The quick serve restaurant with drive-through is 2,500 square feet. The applicant has indicated that this is likely to be a national chain such as Dairy Queen, Del Taco, or Panda Express, a national chain that would be able to fit in this small space. This does limit the restaurant uses for possible traffic-inducing tenants like In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A, a user that might want a larger space and be on a corner. And then moving along in the yellowish orange is a dual tunnel car wash with rollover equipment. The building itself is about 2,600 square feet. And then moving off to the north here, there's 8-car vacuums stations with a solar canopy and a central vacuum. The vacuum motor building, I would call it, is right here. And then there's also solar canopies with electric vehicle chargers that is located on the northwest side of the project. In addition, there's a 1,000-gallon propane tank for propane sales, and there's also a 5-gallon propane tank exchange. The project features 12 bike parking spaces, outside dining for about approximately 20 people. The dining area is here. There are quite a few bike parking spaces to the south and to the north of the building. And importantly, there is a cross-project connection to the multipurpose trail from Walker Avenue off to the rail trail. So anybody coming onto the site or passing through would be able to reach the rail trail if they didn't go all the way down to Betteravia. And one more thing I'd like to add before I move on to the next slide is the minimum circulation aisle width accommodates two-way traffic, so it's about 24 feet wide at minimum around the project site, 29 feet between the curb for the front property frontage along Betaravia and the fueling canopy above. And so if I hadn't already mentioned this already, this is Walker Avenue and Betaravia Road on the south. The rail trail is on the right-hand side on the east. So the entire project is landscaped with 23% landscape area, which exceeds the minimum requirement for 15% landscape coverage. There is a connection to the multipurpose trail and Walker Avenue, as I previously mentioned, and there is a dual line of trees along Betaravia Road. So there are city street trees in the parkway, and then the site also proposes a line of trees, big canopy trees. Trees are also shown throughout along the trail, along the northern property line, and in a future slide I'll show how the tree planting connects with the apartments to the north. There is a freestanding green screen at the drive-through to block headlights and further soften that frontage and the automotive oriented uses. So the applicant has provided a circulation plan for larger trucks. In response to concerns regarding the queuing length for the drive-through, staff reviewed a recent queuing studies completed for other drive-through projects. The studies show that the average maximum queuing length for a national hamburger chain is 8.5 vehicles. With queuing for 10 vehicles, this project proposes queuing for 10 vehicles. The project provides sufficient queuing for a restaurant like Del Taco, Dairy Queen, or Panda Express, which are the types of restaurants that I mentioned previously anticipated to go into this location. A condition of approval is in place, requiring the operator of the drive-through to monitor the queue length and take operational measures to prevent excess queuing. So these measures could include an expedited ordering process, extra staffing during peak periods to reduce food preparation times, and additionally, the project is overparked with 12 extra spaces beyond what the city requires. So it would be possible for the restaurant to convert 2 or 3 parking stalls to drive-through pickup spaces where the vehicles could be directed to, in order to pick up their purchases without entering the drive-through lane. There are some areas to the north of the building, right next to the restaurant, that could be used, as well as right in front of the storefront. So as I'd previously mentioned, the landscape plans are designed to be intertwined or compatible, work with the apartments to the north. So this is just showing the trees lined up as well as the spacing from the apartments to the automotive uses. Staff carefully reviewed the project in the context of the apartments, and an addendum, to the EAR was prepared according to CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. No new significant impacts were identified beyond what was previously analyzed in the adopted EIR for Betaravia Plaza. The fueling canopy and car wash are both at least 150 feet away from the nearest residences, and the vacuums are more than 60 feet away and separated by landscaping, a solid block wall, and a parking area. A hazard risk assessment was prepared for the project to determine whether the project would create a health risk for the surrounding uses, and it was determined that the project would not create a significant health risk. The assessment was peer-reviewed and accepted by the Santa Barbara Air Pollution Control District and their air quality specialists, which will be the permitting agency for the gas station, and they had no further comments. They've reviewed the hazard risk assessment extensively and provided comment. The environmental review of the project included an assessment of any project-related impacts to neighboring properties as well. A noise assessment was prepared for the project to predict noise levels for the entire project, assuming that both dryer blowers on the car wash, the centralized vacuum motor, and the vacuum nozzles at all stations would be operating simultaneously, which is the worst-case scenario. So if you look at the predicted noise contours, you'll notice that the contours extend and encompass the vacuum stations right over here. And these colors signify noise levels in decibels. And there's a small key on the right-hand side to reference. Any areas not shown in color would have noise levels less than the green, which is the lowest level measured in this study. And that would be less than 45 decibels, which is the maximum measured with this model. So noise reduction measures to be required as conditions of approval would bring noise down to an acceptable level required by the Santa Maria Municipal Code. For residential zones, that is 55 decibels during the daytime and 45 decibels at night. And for commercial zones, such as this project is in a commercial zone, the maximum noise levels are 65 decibels in daytime and 60 decibels at night. So shown in the exhibit, the project as designed with the required noise reduction measures will comply with the city's noise standards. The car wash is planned to operate only between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m., so the noise will not create an issue during nighttime hours when the maximum ambient noise levels are lower. Some of the mitigations include limited hours of operation, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., required blower shields, no audible bay buzzer allowed, a 8-foot tall solid barrier, which is required under between commercial and residential projects via the municipal code anyway. However, this would reduce noise levels as well. Centralized vacuum vents, that enclosure that I'm going to show in the next slide, those vents would have to be facing away from the northerly boundary, which would further reduce noise coming from the project. And there is also a condition for the operator of the project itself, the entire project, to monitor noise from stereos, radios, and to prevent any unmeasurable nuisance noises. So customers utilizing the vacuums would not be allowed to play their radios loudly while they are servicing their cars. So this is a portion of the proposed vacuum canopy on the left. On the right is the vacuum equipment enclosure building, which is constructed of cement masonry unit walls, CMU walls, and a stucco finish. The vents for this enclosure, again, will be oriented away from the north, and these vacuums would be operated only during daytime hours, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. With the vacuum motor enclosed in the building, the vacuum units are significantly quieter than individual canister motors that are seen on other car wash drive-through operations. So I'll just talk about this slide here. On the bottom, you can see there's a hose that'll extend down below. Any debris would come through the hose into a centralized tube that would be, the vacuum itself would suck all of the debris and any dirt or Cheerios, whatever, into this vacuum equipment enclosure, and there would be no independent canister vacuum, so it would be enclosed and would not be exponentially, the noise would be, versus 7 vacuums running all at once, it would just be the one motor. So this is a floor plan of the store and restaurant. On the left is the second floor office area. So there's some storage areas and a few office compartments. Quick serve restaurant, there's no tenant selected yet, so this is relatively basic with a typical convenience store for Extra Mile for Chevron on the right-hand side. The building is proposed to provide an architectural transition between the existing industrial buildings to the south and the new Spanish-style residences to the north. This building utilizes finished materials from both the industrial and the residential. So the stucco and wood pattern is consistent with the residences, and the metal finishes for the industrial. The applicant has prepared materials and a color board that is available this evening. I'll pass it to your commission. And so there's the wood finish and the colors. The roofing as you can see on the board, is much lighter than what is shown on the CAD file. Staff specifically asked for the color and material boards to show exactly what the color would be. It comes out a little bit darker on the computer screen. So your commission would take note of that. And then this is a view of the car wash elevations and the floor plan. The car wash is also intended to blend with the commercial buildings, the commercial building in the front, with the same finished materials and standing seam roofing. And on the right-hand side is just showing the car wash tunnel. So this is a full view of the proposed solar canopy above the vacuum stations. It's relatively consistent. There's 2 hoses on either side of the station with a trash can, and the hose would be long enough to reach either side of the vehicle. On the bottom shows the typical chevron canopy, and pilasters are proposed to be a wooden pattern material to be compatible with the building. And then familiar on the bottom right-hand side is just that section again, showing the tubing, and then there's a little trash can for debris when folks are cleaning out their cars. So that concludes my presentation. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission take the following action. By resolution, approve an addendum to the environmental impact report prepared for the Betteravia Plaza Chevron project. By motion, approve plan development permit PD 2021-0010. And by motion, approve conditional use permit 2023-0015. Staff is available for any questions, and the applicant is here with their architect as well, if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Carol. At this time, do we have any ex parte? I have none. Okay. We're ready for the applicant. Does the applicant have a presentation? Do we have any questions for staff first? Anybody? Commissioner Lopez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I do have a question for staff, actually for engineering. My question was at the study session and tonight is the proximity of the western southwest exit to Walker Avenue and the proximity to Betteravia. I think that it was mentioned in the study session that the pork chop was going to be gone. And I just want to know if the stacking at Betteravia from Walker is adequate.
So, Chair Seaver, Commissioner Lopez, Engineer Mueller. Yes, there's adequate spacing between the proposed southwest driveway on Walker Avenue to Betteravia Road. There's several, and so yes, the pork chop will not exist. It's Carol, if you go to the perspective, I think you have slide 3. The fringe improvements have been constructed. You'll see that the pork chop is not there. It's top left corner of the screen. So there's no pork chop. That was not included due to that left turn is precluded already by the raised median on Betteravia Road, and the pork chop was just creating issues with ADA compliance in terms of constructing a crosswalk across that intersection. The spacing of the driveway from the intersection, I believe, is at least 50 feet, which is what our typical spacing between a driveway and intersection is on any intersection. Additionally, there's a deceleration lane on Betteravia Road, which if someone was turning on to Walker from Betteravia Road, they have adequate space and time to decelerate to a safe speed if there was spillback on a freak peak occurrence where queues are spilling onto Walker Avenue.
Is there an acceleration lane on the west side of the street?
An acceleration lane?
Yeah, on Betteravia, if you were taking a right onto
On
Betteravia
Walker?
from
No.
Walker?
No, there's no acceleration lane.
So Walker at the intersection on the west side, does it come out further?
Yes, so your vehicle will be basically in line with that bicycle lane. So you'll have adequate line of sight for vehicles in the outermost lane. You can appropriately make that judgment of when to make that right turn onto Betteravia Road heading east.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mark, tagging on that one. Walker's a non-signaled intersection.
Chair Seifert, that is correct. Not a non-signalized intersection. It's right in, right out only.
That was my next question. I also noticed that we said that we have a 24-foot inside of the parking? I thought 25 was the minimum.
I believe 25 would be the minimum if you have parked vehicles on either side of that drive aisle. I believe 24 is just the minimum for driving only fire lane.
So we're good with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Dickerson.
Dana, excuse me, Carol, going back to the sound slide, Commissioner Lopez brought this up at the study session, and I just was curious if we had a, what is that weird jut out, and why is it, I mean, what is it that's creating that much noise that it has its own wedge?
Commissioner Dickerson.
Yeah.
Carol. Chair.
No. Kathleen.
Thank you. So according to the noise engineer, the sound engineer, there are some complex reflections occurring within the vacuum, or sorry, not the vacuum, but the car wash building itself, which is masonry as well. So there would be reflections coming off of this area would probably be about 45 decibels or lower. There would be reflections coming from one blower to the other side of the car wash wall, is my understanding, and it would reflect out, showing this extension.
So you have kind of an echo dome
Exactly.
going
It would be
on? That's
reflecting
interesting.
off of the the centralized vacuum enclosure itself, as well as the walls of the vacuum tunnel, or not the vacuum, sorry, the car wash tunnel. I keep saying vacuum. So being a layman, that's as far as I understand. This is based on a matrix of points and receptor grid, and so these areas connected using the model. I do have the letter that if you wish, I could read it aloud. Oh, all right.
That's fine. Okay, no, in general, I understand now. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Blanco.
I have a question on the aisle that's just to the left or west of the car wash. Is that a two-way aisle that goes north-south? I think I remember that from study session. That was supposed to be both directions. Is that right?
Commissioner Blanco, yes, that is correct. Upon review with staff requested the aisle width to be extended. It was previously 20 feet wide. However, with thought to provide two-way circulation, the applicant narrowed the planter next to the car wash itself. So let me see if I have that. So the circulation, so this vehicle circulation slide is old. It's showing the previous with the 20-foot wide drive aisle with the wider planter. And then this landscape plan is an updated reflecting the new 24-foot width drive aisle for two-way circulation. So you can go any direction on the site except not backward through the car wash or the drive-through.
Okay. Okay, got it. Yeah, I just was noticing it was 20 feet on one of the dimensions in the plan set. So, but it went to 24, now it's two-way. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez? I had a question going back to the sound. I haven't seen that graphic before. Isn't there a block wall along that railroad, or is it just chain link? What do we got there?
Chair Seifert, I believe it is just chain link.
So that's why we don't have because if it was a block wall, that would probably mitigate any of that noise.
Correct. The block wall there is a block wall separating the apartments, but I believe this is going to be open with either a wrought iron fence or similar, or open to the.
Well, actually, my assumption must be wrong, because if there is a block wall, we have about the same amount of noise traveling that direction also, so I guess the wall wouldn't help that much anyway. So I guess that answers the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, could you please step up to the podium, state your name and your address for the record, and then we'll hear what you have to say. Thank you.
My name is Kurt Wagenecht. I'm with K-12 Architects. My address is 3090 Fight Circle, Suite 104, Sacramento, California, 95827. Good evening, Commissioners And I also wanted to thank Carol for her thorough presentation tonight of the project. I really don't have anything to add to her presentation. The owners are here if you have any specific questions for them. They have reviewed the conditions of approval, and we are in agreement with those conditions and are looking forward to getting this project built. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I had a question with respect to the elevations. And on the two-story portion, is that mansard really that high? Or what's the reason for the high mansard?
It looks high.
Hang on one second. Please point out which part of the roof you're talking
Well,
about.
on the second floor,
Yeah.
above the, yeah, right there.
Yes, okay, perfect, thank you.
It does look high. I did make it high on purpose. The reason for that is if you go, I think I've got either 6 or 8 and 12 on that roof. If you go like 4 and 12, you won't even see it when you're at the fueling on the site, because it just goes back so quick. You're down low at 6 feet. You don't even see it. So I made it a little bit higher so that there is a presence of a roof up there.
And there's a mechanical well back there?
No, not on the left side. The right side, there's a mechanical unit there, but the rest of the mechanical units are hidden by the other low wall.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Wagonek, tagging on to that, I'm sorry I missed the study session, but I also would have brought that up. It's not my favorite elevation, and I know you're the architect, so excuse me for that, but the roof does look a little bit out of proportion for the building to me. I'm not going to make a big stink out of it. I wasn't there at the study session where I should have brought that up, but I too, it does stand out to me too as a little out of proportion. I don't know if you guys want to look at that pitch, maybe bringing it down 7 and 12, 6 and 12, something, I don't know, but it does stand out to me also.
Yeah. We're glad to make it a little bit shorter if you want.
It's just something in perspective.
Yeah.
That's all. It does look a little bit out. So to me. So is there any other questions? I believe that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do we have anyone else from the public? That's it. Okay. Very good. Good catch. Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No, there's no one on Zoom.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open this meeting up to the public. I don't have any written communications, so we don't have anyone in the audience that wants to talk. Do we have anyone on Zoom that wants to do public? I guess we asked that. No? Are there any rebuttals? Anyone else wish to speak on this matter? Don't see it. Okay. Do we have any additional questions? Okay, I'm going to close this hearing to the public. It's time for us to discuss this project, make a motion, or discussion. Commissioners. Commissioner Dickerson.
Yeah, I think it's a good project. I mean, other than the aesthetic element, which I agree with the other two commissioners as well. If you could lower that a bit, I think that would be proportionally a little bit nicer look. But other than that, I think that you've addressed the issues that we've discussed, and we had a fair number of questions at study session, and you've answered them. So I think this is a good project. I would be for it.
Thank you, sir. Do we, Commissioner Blanco?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just we reviewed it at study session. I think that was a good session to have ahead of seeing this. I think it answered a lot of our questions. The noise thing, I think, was the biggest, maybe one of the biggest concerns, I thought anyways, and the study really clarified things, and good to know that that they're looking to obviously meet all the ordinances and requirements, but they did a detailed study of that, and that's really appreciated, I think. The circulation-wise, I did have some concerns, but I think it sounds like that right in, right out is going to work fine. And the driveway locations, the circulation on site looks like they've thought it through really well. And they're constrained a little bit with, I think there was a well there that they needed to stay away from, so they had some limitations. But overall, I think with the site, they did a nice job. I hadn't looked closely at the elevation, but I do agree with the other commissioners that it would be nice to see if there's an adjustment that could be made to make things look a little bit more proportional. But otherwise, I appreciate all the responses and the hard work. It looks like a really good project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lopez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, my original concern was the circulation or the traffic down Betaravia and Walker. I think the engineering department answered that. The other concern I had was the internal circulation with the southernmost fueling station being the proximity to the entrance of the queuing for the quick service restaurant. I think they looked at that. I think planning looked at that and the number of cars that could be there. I guess that they don't feel there's a conflict. I'm fine with that. So I also agree. I think it'll be a good asset to that stretch of Betaravia as you're heading out of town to the hitching post.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, this is an incredible project. You know what? We've so morphed into this capture of the American consumer. We have vacuums, we have car washes, we have fast food, we have a grocery store, we have gasoline. I mean, it's amazing to me how we've come to this when everything used to be like you'd go to the gas station and then you drive to the store. And in these days and age, you know, vehicle miles traveled is the new mantra. Everybody wants to limit how far we're traveling, and this certainly does address that 100%. I had a few issues which I mentioned. I too was worried about the stacking on Walker. It seems like we've got that under control. I don't think that the noise levels are going to be any problem with the zoning to the property to the east. What exactly is that the apartments to the north? Is that, okay, so that block wall is going to be very helpful then?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, good. And I wasn't at the study session, so I'm glad to hear that the internal traffic was addressed, and that's always a concern that we get everybody locked up in there. I'm a little concerned with a 10 stacking. Every car drive-through I go through is just packed. So we've had some, I think, as high as 18, but depending on the entity that runs that. So please be very cognizant of that fact. I know you've said that you're going to. It does create quite a few problems when we get that real, like the chicken place. It's crazy. I mean, and I drive by there sometimes, 6:30 in the morning, and there's already people in the line. So I think they're waiting for lunch because they know the line's going to be long. I'm not sure. So please be cognizant of that. I think it's an excellent project, and I can see supporting this. So at this time, I would call for, no, I wouldn't call for that. We need to have a resolution at this time.
I think I'll be moving forward. I just want to ask Commissioner Lopez and Blanco, are you satisfied with Walker and how that's been dealt with? Because I know both of you brought that up at the study session. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, Commissioner Dickerson, yeah, if the city engineering department's looked at it and studied it, then, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Go ahead.
It seems like, based on that, it's going to be fine. I was, making it a right in, right out helps out a lot tremendously. So I don't see, at least that doesn't seem like cars would be stacking up there significantly. And if they've got adequate room on site, then we wouldn't expect cars backing up into Walker. Should be fairly free-flowing, it seems. So you never know. I mean, obviously, we never know how it's going to work, but it sounds like we're meeting all the requirements with the site plan, and, that's all we can really do. So good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure of that. There's nobody else, then I'd like to go ahead and make a motion.
Nope.
No?
It's a resolution.
Motion by resolution.
Thank you, sir.
To approve an addendum to the environmental impact report prepared to for the Betaravia Plaza Chevron project.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
And can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dickerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Blanco?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Seifert?
Aye.
And by motion, I'd like to make a motion to approve Plan Development Permit PD 2021-0010.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dickerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Blanco?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Seifert?
Aye.
And finally, by motion, approve conditional use permit U 2023-0015.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
And can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dickerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Blanco?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Seifert?
Aye. Your project passes. Congratulations, and can't wait to use all of the facilities. Those vacuums look really cool.
With any luck, we won't have to do any other shopping anywhere else. We'll just go there, and our life will be complete. Yeah.
Absolutely. Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
Do you want your board back? Ew. This is coming off. I broke it. Yeah.
At this time, we're going to number 6, other business, oral reports from planning commissioners and staff. Staff, do we have anything?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. So we have a study session scheduled tomorrow at 1:30. We've got 2 items on the agenda tomorrow, so it could be a bit of a longer meeting than usual. We've got a new car wash project on Broadway. I was like, what road is that? Broadway to present. And then also another phase of the Blosser Ranch project. It's one of the multifamily phases of the project to go over with you. And then I also wanted to mention September 6th will also be a busier meeting because we have the general plan update, preferred land use alternative that day, and now we also will have the Alvin Newton apartments as well, and possibly the car wash you're going to see tomorrow, depending on how that goes. So that meeting will have a bit more going on for the agenda. And I also wanted to give an update on the housing element. So we are just about completed addressing the state's first round of comments that we received on the draft housing element. We should have those comments completed probably next week, and we are required to post it for public review for 7 days, and then we will resubmit it to the state for their final review. The state does have 60 days to look at it for the final review, but we're pretty confident that we've addressed most everything that they had the first round. And so our plan is to have the housing element to your commission in November for hopefully a hearing in December with the city council to get that adopted. So we've been working really hard on that, and it's going well. So I just wanted to give you an update on that too.
Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, anything? I have a couple of items. I won't be making the study session tomorrow. I do have a family commitment that I cannot miss. I've told Dana about this. I'm sorry. I would like to see those items. You said you were going to get me some information on it or something? Or?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. The other thing is that, Heather, I was wondering, I know the cemetery is under construction, and they came to a meeting the other night for their building, but they're storing some concrete items out right along, what is it, Miller College? Those items are actually, they end up in the ground, and they're concrete, they hold the caskets. Yes, it would be nice if we could get those maybe behind a fence or put them somewhere other than just right there off the road. They've been there for quite a while. I drive by there often. I thought maybe, they just put them there for a little while. I think they kind of like them there. So if we could do something to hide them or something.
Yeah, I see Dana's taking notes too. That probably would be code enforcement, which is now over in Community Development Department.
It's back over here? Oh, hi, Dana. Hi, Carol. Yes, it's just I don't know. It would be nice if we didn't have to look at those. Not everybody knows what they are, but, it would be nice if we could just get those behind a fence or some plants or something.
We can follow up on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. That's it for me. So I believe this meeting is adjourned.